Robin also gaped and stared in a wondering way, just as the cobbler would have done in his place. "Alack-a-daisy me," quoth he, "I know not whether I be sitting here or in no man's land. What meaneth all this stir, ease the pot, dear good gentleman? Surely this is a sweet, honest fellow." "Honest fellow," said the clown, quoth one of the men. "Why, I tell thee that this is the same wrath that man called Robin Hood." At this speech the cobbler stared and gaped more than ever, for there was such a threshing of thoughts going on with his poor head that his wits were all befogged with the dust and chaff thereof. Moreover, as he looked at Robin Hood, he saw the yeoman look so like what he knew himself to be. He began to doubt and to think that mayhap he was the great outlaw in real sooth. Said he in a slow, wondering voice, "Am I in very true that fellow? Now I had thought, but nay, Quintance, thou art mistook, yet am I. Nay, I must be indeed, be Robin Hood. Yet truly I have never thought to pass from an honest craftsman to such a great yeoman." "Alas," quoth Robin Hood, "look ye there now. See how your ill treatment hath curdled the wits of this poor lad and turned them all sour. I myself am Quintance, the cobbler of Derby town." "Is it so?" said Quintance. "Then indeed I am somebody else, and can be none other than Robin Hood. Take me, fellows, but let me tell you that ye had laid hand upon the stoutest yeoman that ever trod the woodlands." "Thou wilt pay, madman, wilt thou?" said the leader of the band. "Here, Glitz, fetch a cord and bind the knave's hands behind him. I warrant we will bring his wits back to him again when he get him safe before our good Bishop of Tutbury town." Thereupon they tied the cobbler's hands behind him and led him off with a rope, as the farmer lets off the calf he hath brought from the fair. Robin stood looking after them, and when they were gone he laughed till the tears rolled down his cheeks, for he knew that no harm would befall the honest fellow, and he pictured to himself the bishop's face when good Quintance was brought before him as Robin Hood. Then, turning his steps once more to the eastward, he stepped out right foot foremost towards Nottinghamshire and Sherwood Forest. But Robin Hood had gone through more than he wotted of. His journey from London had been hard and long, and in a year he had travelled 70 and more of miles. He thought now to travel on without stopping until he had come to Sherwood, but ere he had gone 60 of a mile, he felt his strength giving way beneath him like a river bank, which the water hath undermined. He sat him down and rested, but he knew within himself that he could go no further that day, for his feet felt like lumps of lead, so heavy were they with weariness. Once more he arose and went forward, but after travelling a couple of miles he was faint to give the matter up. So coming to an inn just then, he entered and called the landlord, bade him show him to a room, although the sun was only then just sinking in the western sky. There were but 3 bedrooms in the place, and to the meanest of these the landlord showed Robin Hood, but little Robin cared for the looks of the place, for he could have slept that night upon a bed of broken stones. So, stripping off his clothes without more ado, he rolled into the bed and was asleep almost ere his head touched the pillow. Not long after Robin had so gone to the rest, a great cloud peeped blackly over the hills to the westward. High and higher it arose, until it piled up into the night like a mountain of darkness. All around beneath it came ever and anon a dull red flash, and presently a short grim mutter of the coming thunder was heard. Then a row for stout burghers of Nottingham town, for this was the only inn within 5 miles distance, and they did not care to be caught in such a thunderstorm as this was coming up on them. Leaving their nags to the stablemen, they entered the best room of the inn, where fresh green rushes lay all spread upon the floor, and there called for the goodliest fare that the place afforded. After having eaten heartily, they bade the landlord show them to their rooms, for they were aweary, having hidden all the way from Dornfield that day. So off they went, grumbling off at having to sleep two in a bed, but their troubles on this score, as well as all others, were soon lost in the quietness of the sleep. And now came the first gust of wind, rushing past the place, clapping and banging the doors and shuttering, smelling of the coming rain, and all wrapped in a cloud of dust and leaves, as though the wind had brought a gust along with it. The door opened. Of a sudden, and in came a friar of Emmet Priory, and one in highest degrees, as was shown by the softness and sleekness of the robes and the richness of his rosary. He called to the landlord and bade him first have his mule well fed and bedded in the stable, and then to bring him the very best there was in the house. So presently a savoury stew of tripe and onions, with sweet little fat dumplings, was set before him, likewise a good stout pottle of malmsey, and straightway the holy friar fell to with great courage and heartiness, so that in a short time naught of what was left but a little pool of gravy in the centre of the plate, not larger enough to keep the life in a starving mouse. In the meantime the storm broke. Another gust of wind went rushing by, and with it fell a few heavy drops of rain, which presently came rattling down in showers, beating against the casements like 100 little hands. Bright flashes of lightning lit up every raindrop, and with them came cracks of thunder that went away rumbling and bumping, as though Saint Swithin were busy rolling great kegs of water across rue ground overhead. The women-folks screamed, and the merry wags in the temp-room put their arms around their waists to soothe them to quietness. At least the holy friar bade the landlord show him to his room, but when he heard that he was to bed with cobbler, he was as ill content a fellow as you could find in all England. Nevertheless, there was nothing for it, and he must sleep there or nowhere. So, taking up his candle, he went off grumbling like the now distant thunder. Where he came to the room where he was to sleep, he held the light over Robin and looked at him from top to toe. Then he felt better pleased, for instead of a rough, dirty, bearded fellow, he beheld a fresh and clean a lad as one could find in a week of Sundays. So, slipping off his clothes, he also hurried into the bed, where Robin, grunting and grumbling in his sleep, made room for him. Robin was more sound asleep, I vote, than he had been for many, many days, else he would have never have rested so quietly with one of the friar's sword so close beside him. As for the friar, he had known who Robin Hood was, You may well believe he would almost as soon as he slept with an adder as with the man he had for a bedfellow. So the night passed comfortably enough, but at the first dawn of day Robin opened his eyes and turned his head upon the pillow. Then how he gasped and how he stared, for there beside him lay one all shaven and shorn, so that he knew that it must be a fellow in holy orders. He pinched himself sharply, but finding he was awake, sat up in bed while the others slumbered as peacefully as though he were safe and sound at home in Emery Priory. Now, quoth Robin to himself, I wonder how this thing happened to drop into my bed during the night. So saying, he arose softly, so as not to waken the others, and looking about the room, he espied the friar's clothes lying upon the bench near the wall. First he looked at the clothes, with his head on one side, and then he looked at the friar, and slowly winked one eye. Quoth he, Good brother, whate'er thy name may be, as thou hast borrowed my bed so freely, I'll e'en borrow thy clothes in return. So saying, he straightway donned the holy man's garb, but keenly left the cobber's clothes in the place of it. Then he went forth into the freshness of the morning, and a stableman that was up and about the stables opened his eyes as though he saw a green mouse before him, for such men as a friar of Emmet were not wont to be early risens, but the man bottled his thoughts, and only asked Robin wherever he wanted his mule brought from the stable. Yea, my son, quoth Robin, albeit he knew naught of the mule. And bring it forth quickly, I pray thee, for I am late and must be jogging. So presently the stableman brought forth the mule, and Robin mounted it and went on his way rejoicing.